Cool. All right. So this talk is, well, I gave it a new name. It's Java 12 unboxing, based on. There's a guy, Dylan Marin, who's a comedian, and he's got all these unboxing videos. So he basically takes the piss out of traditional unboxing videos, like the one you see there, but basically unboxing prejudices and unboxing privileges and all these other things. So I just thought I'd unbox Java 12. Why not? Because no one else is going to. So the real title of this talk, though, is even less reasons to not upgrade to Java 12, or even less reasons to stay on Java 8. Basically, too many JDKs. But go to Java 12 if anything. Try it out at least. So I'm going to talk about what's new. I'm going to talk a little bit about compatibility, licensing, and future. Just a quick show of hands. This is not on this slide, but who is on any version of Java past 8? 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh my gosh, you've grown. So 9, 10. Like, okay, God, good. 3. That's 4, 5. We got. When this used to be 0 or 1 a few months ago, so this is fantastic. So this slide is now very, very deprecated. But yes, I've used this slide before here, speaking about future Javas. Who's seen any of my previous talks about Java? Yes, so Mike, because I went to his work, and a couple of others. Okay, so not too many. There's a bit I left out because this was meant to be a lightning talk, which has got catches up on all the features from Java 9, 10, and 11. So I can go through those at the end, but I'll do the Java 12 bit first, and the other bits that are relevant, and then go back into that. All right. So features. If you're a developer, this is just start with the small stuff first. There's this new number formatter called a compact number format, and basically you can just get one like you would say a currency format or whatever other number format you want. So you get this compact number instance, and then you can go, all right, well, I want to format a number, and so here I'm formatting 15,000, and it just knows, hey, that means 15k, and you can do millions and whatever numbers, and there's different locales, so it understands.
So that 15_000, is that a string, or is that just accepted as a number?
So this is actually a Java 7 feature. So I'll go back a step further than I expected. But basically they just introduced these delimiters, and you can basically use that to represent any long, I guess, or integer. I don't even know if that is a long or an integer actually now, but sorry. It's an int, So yes, you can basically do that, and you can format your numbers a bit nicer code to read link constants and stuff.
So, sorry, you can use those for binaries as well, like 0, Betty, blah blah blah, underscore, super useful.
I wish we had a guy who did a talk on when Java 7 came out, just on that feature, and so he did a smiley face as a thing. It's really cool. Cool. So that's that fun feature, and then. This feature hasn't actually been released, it's in preview mode. So basically switch expressions, which Nelson has actually talked about in the news before, so this might not be news to you as such, but in IntelliJ now you can basically, when you go and set up your JDK, say it's Java 12, and then it asks you what language level that you're on, and then you can say Java 12 but with the enable preview thing, and then you'll get this experimental feature alert warning saying, hey, your code's useless. It's not even part of GCP, or I don't know what it says. It's just, like anything, you don't read it, you just press accept. And then you can start using it, so you're all good. So and also too, if you're using Maven, if you're using Gradle, there's basically a flag, so you do this -- enable preview, and then you can use the features. And even in JShell, which is the REPL for Java, you can run it with -- enable preview, and then you can access all the preview features as well, which is just this one feature. There's only one preview feature. They went to all this trouble of making preview features. But this is what it looks like. So here's what looks like to most people a regular switch statement, except the first difference is there's a return at the front. So normally a switch is like a program flow thing. Maybe instead of using an if, I'm going to use a switch. Here actually, I'm using the switch to return anything, so I've just grabbed these enums of electric vehicles, because maybe one day I'll have some money to buy one. Basically this is just returning one expression, one thing back. And then the whole idea is, so I could basically do maybe even var some variable name equals switch, and basically anything that this returns will just jump straight into here. Now the way you can tell it's a newfangled switch rather than the old style is that there's an arrow over here instead of a column, and there's no break statements at the end of each block. So a couple of nice usability things. Let's notice over here we've got like multiple case things that we can map to the one result. Down the bottom here, so I've got a Porsche, and yeah, I've got two things that map to the same thing. IntelliJ will helpfully underline this and say, hey, you know what, you can actually do it like this way. So I could alt-enter on that and mix it into one. The one thing I can't do, and the Java compiler won't let me do, is if I do one of these guys, which is basically, I've defined I3 as a BMW up here, so it's one of the conditions, I guess, that you hit. But if I try to define it here, and I've commented it out, but I'll actually get a compiler error. So it'll warn me, go, hey, you've actually already set up here, you want to do something. So there, you get some love there, and then you've got default over there at the very bottom. So if you forget, if you've got a different range of things. I vaguely remember, but I've forgotten since I last gave this talk, but I believe that you can omit default if you've got all the range of values. And generally the only way you can get all the range of values, say, is if you've got, say, an enum. So if you've got an enum and then you put all the case for every single enum, then you can leave the default off. I hope that's maybe a future Java version. But yes, that's basically a switch statement. Any questions on that? No? Yeah.
And so that has to be an exact value. It can't be like a condition. Like if you have a number.
Return a closure from this. You could actually return a function then evaluate it later if you want, is that what you mean by condition?
No, as in like with the case, for instance, A3, as in model is A3, but you can't say, if it was an integer, you can't say case and then.
No, not like, say, Scala or Kotlin,
Okay.
where that's coming. This is like the precursor to that feature, to the pattern matching, basically. So this is what this is enabling.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
I was going to ask a similar question, like can you switch on, like Rust's got tuple unpacking things, so do you know whether they're looking into that as well?
I think they would be as well, yeah, as part of, from what I've seen of the gems that they've got, they've put some stuff in there. So how we go. Alright, there's a whole bunch of boring other stuff. I mean, Red Hat made a new garbage collector, I guess to compete with like that same space that Azul is in, so low pause time and big memory kind of space. And then there's a whole bunch of stuff internally that makes things better. There used to be, for some reason, 2 versions of the ARM JDK, so they just said, well, we don't need 2, we can do 1. Some other performance improvements. I won't go into them in this talk, but we'll go on if you're so keen. And that's it. Thanks. That's Java 12. All right. But there was more. So the main thing is obviously if you want to use it, and then you need to know, is it safe to use? Will all my libraries and stuff still work? So this part of the talk is then what still works. And so when you start running your same app with Java 12, even your unit tests, you'll likely see this illegal reflective access. Who's tried this? And yes, yeah, a few of you. And so it basically will tell you the first jar somewhere here, the first thing that's basically trying to do reflection, doing something that won't work in Java 9 onwards if Jigsaw had its way. So Project Jigsaw was the way of doing modularity in Java and also preventing people from, say, using these unsafe classes and all these internal classes that they weren't supposed to use, that weren't ever allowed anyway. So now it's basically warning you, hey, you can't use those anymore. But your app will still run. So the default is just to warn you, and it warns you of just the first one. You can use this flag down the bottom here, where it will actually show you a list of every single jar that's doing this. And generally, like this example here, I think it's Google Guava, I think, or CGLib, which is a bytecode manipulation library. So generally, you'll find it's like libraries like Spring and things that are doing kind of cool stuff, but nasty stuff, like I guess as well. So yeah, it's you'll get warnings like this. You can fix the ones that are in your code, but you can also just upgrade your jars, and a lot of people are slowly fixing their own libraries to stop this from happening. So the old joke, do you know that at deprecated? The old thing in Java, the joke in Java was we put things at deprecated and then we never get rid of them. And then, in Java 9 or so, they actually started saying, hey, we're going to get rid of things, and we'll actually put now deprecated. You can say it's going to be deprecated in so many versions, so you can actually target a certain version to remove. But yeah, finally, Oracle deleted stuff. So they took out things like Horba, they've taken out all the Java EE libraries. The most, like even you do microservices, I think you mostly notice JAX-B for your deserialization stuff. And yeah, like the Servlet API. But these things are all on Maven Central with modern versions anyway, so you basically just have to go into your Gradle or Maven and add those jars off from there. So it's not really too big of a deal. Found even different programming languages like Groovy, who depend on all of this, they're actually being pretty good, and they actually list like a whole bunch of the common jars that you used to have, or common packages, and have a nice little conversion thing, so you just add them in anyway. So yeah, you just these basically put them in your build. Build tools. So if you've got Maven or Gradle for Java 12, they added support in the most recent 5.4 release, and Maven 3.6 and up, you can basically compile stuff in Java 12. I forgot to mention, there's this feature called multi-release jars. So does anyone here make any libraries, like open source sort of stuff? Sort of, yeah, but your Android
Internal sourcey
so basically there's this thing where you can target, you can make one jar, but it targets different code for Java 9, Java 10, Java 11, Java 12. And so none of the build tools have actually got that right yet, but I don't think it affects anybody here anyway. IDEs, use whatever you like. The funny thing is, I don't know if you know, but VS Code, which is made by Microsoft, uses the Eclipse compiler under the hood, and that's actually being kept up to date pretty well now anyway. So, and there's a lot of movement. Actually, Microsoft's pushing VS Code pretty hard, and I think the Java plugin is made by Red Hat, so they're pushing it as well. So there's a lot of love for VS Code. The cool thing about that is that because VS Code's a little bit more lightweight, then you can run, there's like a version that you can run in the browser, and you know, if you're doing like cloud deploy stuff, you can actually run VS Code in places that, and actually still get syntax fileloading and all the cool other stuff that generally Eclipse and IntelliJ would not give you. So it's worth checking that out. And yeah, Java 12 and everything works with that. Bytecode manipulation, so these were like that first slide I showed you with CGLib. This is that kind of thing. So hey, I'm using internal libraries. ByteBuddy's arguably the better one. Like the guy who maintains that library, he's been really good at jumping through all the different hoops to get everything running. And his library is actually depended on by lots of other things. So say Mockito and all these other stuff. So he was kind of like the go-to. And a lot of people who are library writers have actually switched from using ASM or CGLib to ByteBuddy. If you have one of these things, basically everything seems to be okay. There's a version like upgrade the library, or where you don't even probably have to do this. Probably like Spring has already upgraded its library, so if you just get a compatible version to Java 12, you don't even have to worry about this. But if you see that, that's what you'll get. And even Lombok, which it's not really bytecode manipulation, but I put it here anyway because it's like does things a bit off the cuff in terms of how it manipulates stuff. At compile time, that even works with Java 12. The other thing people know that you need to also upgrade your IDE plugin. So if you're using IntelliJ with the unbox plugin, you have to upgrade it as well, otherwise things don't work. Programming languages, Groovy 2.5 has got like a working Java 9 plus support. And then actually 3.0 has done a really good job of removing those warnings at the front. So if you're still, Groovy 3 is not out yet, I think it's in beta or release candidate, like almost out, but it's close. They basically, you can use them, it'll mostly work, like as in, it'll work, but you'll just get like the warning messages from before. The other thing too is if you use, I haven't talked about it yet, but if you do use Jigsaw and if you use this, like because the way that they build their jars, there's this thing called, I think it's split packaging, where if you have multiple jars that define the same package, that's no longer allowed in Java. So they don't work with that. But most of the time, most people are still running their apps with Java-CP, like they're still using a class path, and you'll be fine in that regard. Kotlin and Scala, basically you compile them with Java 8, and then you can run it on Java 11 or 12. Spring's good, Java's good, Mojito's good. Won't really talk too much about those. Production monitoring, so New Relic works with Java 12. App Dynamics gets to, they only have Java 11. They haven't announced it. I don't know if it does or doesn't work. I haven't tried it yet. But yeah, they're kind of pretty close anyway. They're not too far behind. Okay. If you're going to try upgrading, there's a couple of tools. So Red Hat's got an application migration toolkit, which is good also if you've got a Java EE app, so an old app server thing. So that'll give you a bit more advice. I believe that they wrap up this JDKs tool, which is an Oracle tool that comes with the JDK. So you basically, and you can basically run JDKs and it will tell you, hey, your program is using all these internal libraries of the JDK that are now either deprecated or now made internal, so your app won't work. And it'll also tell you about jars that have been removed. So it'll go, hey, your JAXB things aren't going to be there anymore. But yeah, run those. You can get basic Gradle plugins for JDKs and major plugins, so it'll run it for you as part of your build, tell you what you need to fix up. So I think I touched on this, but yeah, if you want to upgrade, you basically keep everything at Java 8, so even you can just fill in all those missing jars that are no longer there in 11, and then run your app and just keep it at Java 8. Like even compile it with Java 8 or just watch it behave. That's the first step. Second step then would actually be going, all right, well, if my app's working in production now with the new JRE, then let's go up to Java, let's actually compile it with Java 11, and then when that works, then start using new features of Java 11 and 12. Oracle's got a site about upgrading, and that's kind of the summary of their steps. There's probably, there's good resources out there now about people going through the journey of doing it. That's not too difficult. Licensing. Okay. So any questions so far? Right. So the big thing that happened when Java 11 came out was that Oracle changed the licensing of the Java that they distributed. So the old school world was, hey, everyone just goes to java.some.com and they get and that redirects you to an Oracle page, and then you just download the latest JDK. And Oracle's like, hey, that's still fine if you're a developer, but now what we're doing is if you want to use our JDK in production, you have to pay us some money. And what we'll do in exchange for that money is we'll give you a support contract so you can call them up with your Java questions and and more importantly though, any kind of security bug fixes and patches and stuff. So you could stay on an old version of Java for as long as you want, and Oracle will continue to support that Java for you. And people are like, oh, that's kind of crap, hey, we're like, what's going to happen to Java, and what's the alternative? But Oracle thought ahead a little bit. The first thing they did is they basically said, from Java 11, will make it exactly the same as Oracle JDK. And all the things that were kind of commercial features, things like the J emission control and all these things, like I think they had some commercial garbage collector stuff as well. That basically said, okay, you guys can have it for free. You guys will just give it and make it open source. So that used to be like Oracle's, that used to be the thing that set Oracle's JDK, or the commercial features, apart from other JDK vendors as well. And they basically just said, hey, look, no, we want to make this thing open, so we're going to give it to everybody to use. So basically now, Oracle and OpenJDK are exactly the same thing. There's no third-party libraries, no commercial libraries in there. It's the same thing. So then you go, okay, cool. Well, I can use OpenJDK, and the caveat is, well, yes, you can. You can even deploy in production OpenJDK. That's fine, except OpenJDK, the security patches. So the whole deal with OpenJDK is Oracle will only continue to patch. Say there's like a security vulnerability, they'll only make a patched version of Java up until the next version of Java comes out. So because now Oracle does 6 monthly release cycles with Java, it just means, hey, OpenJDK is only supported for 6 months. Not the end of the world though.
Does that include the long-term release as well?
Yes, it does. So yeah, every 3 Java releases, there's this thing they called a long-term release, but it's more like a line in the sand. It's more like just to say, hey, this is the one that you converge on, because I know that not everybody's going to be able to keep up with every 6 months. But in terms of the release patch, the support, it's still going to be 6 months. So say Java 11 is the long-term release, and that's already out of date in terms of use OpenJDK.
Oh, I don't think that's actually true, because Adopt OpenJDK has got 11.03, and you can't get that on the JDK side. But
Yes.
they managed to find the patches for 03 and release them.
Yes. So to clarify, I was saying that I'm just talking about OpenJDK
Okay.
and Oracle JDK on that. But yeah, cool. There we go. So we're going to talk about OpenJDK, and so there's other alternatives. So Adopt OpenJDK. It's got a lot of support actually from a lot of big companies like IBM and Google and Red Hat. But basically, it's guys from, I'm going to just say the London Java community, but it's probably broader than that. That are basically building. They're basically building every single version of Java. They get it licensed from the. So there's this TCK thing that makes that if you run the TCK, you are an official version of Java. And there's a regular TCK, and then there's this commercial TCK. So up until recently, I don't know if this has changed, but Adopt OpenJDK couldn't run the commercial TCK thing, but all their tests passed, and they were basically working with Oracle to get the access to the commercial one for free anyway, which just basically means that this Java is absolutely the JDK to use. And that's okay. That's actually a pretty decent option. And when Java, the new licensing scheme got announced, people were like, oh, well, that's kind of cool. That's a backup option. But then you've got things like Zulu were basically from the start going, yeah, we'll give you one and we'll do a support thing, and we'll actually freely give you a JDK you can run in production, so you could use us. Red Hat, hey, if you've got, like my company uses Red Hat in production for our Linux, and so it's just like a yum update or a yum get Java 11. So you just get it, and then they'll backport. They've already been backporting for a long time anyway. Eclipse or OVM, OpenJ9, they're like, hey, yeah, you can have our JDK as well. And then that was the state 6 months or so ago. And then in the last 6 months, SAP, Bellsoft, didn't even know who they are, and then Amazon have basically built their own JDKs as well that you can run in production for free. Sorry? Osclots. Yeah. So I'm not sure if they do 12. Like I don't know what level they're up to, but I mean, if 11, like they do 8 and 11, so that's pretty good enough for most people anyway.
So of those there, like all those except for OpenJ9 and Zulu, they're all hotspot based, right? And think I dropped OpenJDK is a project that does OpenJ9 and Hotspot.
Yeah.
I mean, OpenJDK is a project name that covers Hotspot and J9, but I think everything else there is Hotspot, right?
Yeah, so they're functionally equivalent.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's otherwise no difference. There's actually now more choice than ever before. What we've got to use. Yeah.
I was just going to say, we're just as a data point, we've been using it like OpenJDK 11 in prod for close to 4 months.
Oh, really?
Bulletproof.
Yeah.
Just works.
Yeah.
I will smash it.
Yeah, excellent. All right. Let's see. The way I found out about those last 3 ones too is there's this tool SDK Man. So if you're on Linux or Mac, or if you're even Windows and PowerShell, there's a version. But basically, it's like if you use Node version in Manager or Ruby version in Manager, it's the same sort of thing. It's like SDK lists Javas and it'll list you all the versions of Java, and then you can just go SDK install whatever 12 SAP, and you get the SAP version of Java. Because why not? You know, so, yeah. Actually, I did the Java switch thing and the enable preview with that was with the SAP thing just to try it out, and it was so very preview stage, and it's all cool. So yeah, look, I talked about that. The only thing I didn't talk about so far is you've got this other really skimpy option, produce a native image. So if you wanted to, since I don't know Java 9 or 10, there's that native image command which basically turns your app into a binary. So you could actually just go turn your app into a binary. You'll probably still suffer from the security pitfalls of that JDK if you use that bit of code, but you know, no one would know because it's an XE, so that's an option. Cool. I don't need to talk about this because Elsie did a good job in the news. So yeah, people are sort of talking about role. If you want fast startup times, probably the only thing it suffers compared to Hotspot is that it's over a long term, it's not as good as Hotspot at optimizing your code, but it's good for really fast microservices and functions as a service stuff. Quarkus basically leverages that to take advantage of it's basically like Spring Boot for Java-y microprofile, and it's like a kitchen sink of microservice-y type things that you can use. All right, so then these are the takeaways. You don't need modules to use Java 9. You don't really need anything. Your libraries and stuff that you used to have will still generally now have been upgraded, and most of the popular stuff, like I haven't seen anything that hasn't yet been upgraded that doesn't work. You've got more options than ever to get a JDK, so it's actually a better thing now that Oracle decided to charge for theirs because other people have stepped up. And yeah, basically we've still got the ability, like, because they've done shorter release cycles, we'll see new features like switch statements and stuff even sooner, so we don't have to wait 4 years like we did for say JShell and things like that. And basically, I think if you stick on an LTX release, so the 8 or 11, you can be sort of confident that all the vendors will gravitate to those things and support those. And then the 12s and 13s and the interim ones will be the afterthought that people do afterwards. But other than that, I think it's a good compromise to have, and I think that'll just get better once people get more used to it and actually start running Java 11 and 12 in production. Then you'll get that nice ecosystem happening again.
Echo.
Yeah.
Are you seeing that the first time you seeing that modules are not used in 10, 11?
Yeah, so they're a feature that you can use. I can show you later on the slide, like the hidden parties talk, for whoever's interested. But maybe I'll get to that thing.
Yeah.
But basically, your app normally runs with Java-CP for the class path, and you put on your list of jars. That's how your app normally runs, and that basically just is like the legacy Java behavior. So by doing that, you basically get compatibility with your apps. So they don't basically have to worry about boundaries within the JVM and within each other to work. But so basically, yeah, you can still run your old apps. That's the yeah. references, I'll tweet out a link to my slide deck so you can watch and click. And that's that.
Yeah.
Yes. Questions? Anything going? Cool. All right. So let's see. Okay. Yeah, this was the slides that I did. All right. So yeah, if you want to stay, you can stay. I can talk about Java 11. Yeah, how we go for time. Yeah. Anyone want me to talk about middle features in the middle? Yeah. Cool. All right. Yeah. Java right now, 2014. So we're using like a 5-year-old. Most of us, most of us using like a 5-year-old Java in production. Why not? We're like, I wonder how old people use. This is how people use COBOL built. Those stuff happened. I talked about people stay with Java because Java 8 because it works. Let's see, there's good reasons to move. All right, so let's talk about Jigsaw and what Jigsaw is. So there's this thing called, there's packages now in Java, there's packages, there's always packages, there's now modules. So they're basically like, if a package is a collection of classes, then a module is a collection of packages. And so, here's a diagram that I've got from Oracle. Basically, module X is trying to access module Y. It's actually been defined that it requires Y. So it's when it tries to access stuff, it will try to use it, and the compiler will check that it needs to be used. Package P over here, and P and C, they depend on Q, and module Y is saying, hey, package Q, it's good. You're letting me get to it. So anything in there I can use in there, and basically that's modularity in a nutshell. And then the good nice thing would be that, hey, if there's a package Q.internal or whatever else, that you don't get to expose that. So if you're a library writer, it's great. You don't need to give stuff out that you don't need. And that's it. You basically put these. There's more syntactic things, but basically the short of it is you put a whole bunch of requires and a whole bunch of exports. What Oracle did is that they knew that not everything's going to be a module, of course. So basically, what Java has is this thing called an automatic module, where I don't use this at all, but there's two definitions. But I think the thing being is that if you've got a module, it basically makes a synthetic name for the module, but it does lump everything into one big sort of global module. I can't remember the term, but basically it's almost like puts all your jars into like the Xbox, and basically then they can all talk to each other and they can use reflection on each other as well. They can inspect to each other's bits and talk to them. So that's what happens. That's how your apps still work, even though Java 9's got modules and stuff like that. And if you try then to say go to like a Sun's internal thing, that they've though got their requires and stuff like that on their side, and that's where it'll lock you and go, hey, reflective access exception, and you're not supposed to do this. I thought I had some more stuff. Maybe I had some hidden slides. One sec. There you go. Apologise for the formatting. So Java 9 and Java 10. We got these helper methods, so these kind of got stolen from Google Guava that you can do list of instead of. So most people used to do array list as list, I think, and array list as list, yeah. Yeah, and so now you can do lists of, you can do set ofs, and they'll give you I think it's actually can't remember if it's a mutable or I thought it's a mutable connect collection. I've forgotten. I don't even remember. assigning me to you're returning a string, so therefore that var must be a string. So that's what that guy does. It's kind of cool in that what you can then do is then you don't actually declare variables anywhere, like types anywhere, and then you can really easily refactor things, even without using your IDE. And yeah, it's a kind of trick from other programming languages that have got it. But yeah, it's not like, say, Groovy. Like Groovy's got def, which is kind of like basically just object, which is like an open type, and it's actually still typed. So it's not like a free-for-all kind of class. JShell, so there's a REPL. I've demoed REPLs in Java for years now, but it's not too bad. Yeah, there's the modularity stuff talked about. You can build native X's and smaller smaller versions of your app, which is good when you're in microservice world and you need to make a smaller thing, smaller, say, Docker image. There's this reactive programming API where basically you've got like a service provider interface, so that things like who are they? So RxJava, you've got Spring's reactive solution. I can't remember what it's called now. Flux, yeah, thank you. Yeah, basically it's just a common API that everybody can use reactive programming with. Compact strings, so just basically Java now, I think it's the way that they store the strings in memory, if it's just an ASCII string, they'll actually just store it using 8-bit characters, versus if you store it, like previously it was all Unicode. So yeah, when Nelsie had a puzzle at the start, I was like, okay, which way is it now? Will it be different on the Java 9 or not? But basically, a whole bunch of people, because of compact strings, they can just upgrade to Java 9 and 10, and there's less memory used instantly, and there's a whole bunch of performance improvements just as a result of doing that. And Docker support, which is actually really cool. So previously, with Java, you can go and get the memory of the whole system, and you can ask for how many threads are running, like how many CPUs you've got access to. And prior to, I think Java 8, they backported this feature, but basically it would tell you, if you're running a Docker container, it wouldn't tell you the CPU of the Docker container, it would just tell you the CPU of the host. And then it would, if you do like a streams parallel thing, or any kind of thing that would ask for lots of threads, it would try and use more threads and just thrash that Docker instance rather than use the resources of what you've limited it to. Now, so that was with threads, and then with memory, if your app thinks it's got more RAM than it has, then you'll get out of memory exceptions. So that was the other part to that, which gets worse if then you use those Docker images within a Kubernetes instance, because Kubernetes is even worse. Basically Docker, you could get away with it on the host, but with Kubernetes, it'll basically just shut down any process. You go, hey, you're out of memory, that's no good, I'll get you back to my original state and blow it away. So they sort of fix that pretty quick smart. And there's parameters, I believe, that you can use to also say how many CPUs and stuff to use. So there's an example of var and setting a string. They added some new methods to string, so we finally got a repeat thing. But yeah, that was a cool little feature. So yeah, I've been knowing JShell as well, so I can type things out. And in JShell, you don't need to put semicolons on the end of your statements. It's nice, isn't it? This one I actually quite like. You can basically make a bash file, an executable script, which is just a one file Java program, and you can basically say, if you put this bit at the top, user bin Java, and then -- source 11, basically what will happen is Java will run, you can compile all this, and then just run it automatically. So you don't have to do Java C and make a class file or anything like that. It just basically does it all in one hit. And that's actually what's going on here. Is there's another feature where just with Java on its own, they've got this thing where you can just compile a single source file, and you don't have to do Java C first. So if you just do Java and pass it at hello world.java, it will compile it automatically does is then lets you use that in scripts. So that was kind of cool. Yeah.
Are you limited to the standard library to do that?
I think you are, but I saw recently there was a company that David Blevins, who does all the microprofile stuff. They basically made a what's that thing, like basically like a library for interpreting command line arguments, and they had a blog on how you incorporate that with this feature. So yeah, there must be a way to do it. I just don't know how to tell it about other Javas. Yeah, it's possible.
In Kotlin script, there's a way where you can declare dependencies on Maven libraries, and when you compile it, it just downloads everything.
Oh yeah, that's cool. Yeah, Groovy's got the same sort of thing, the grab annotations, and yeah, they're kind of, I don't know if just people haven't played with it yet enough to, so it's not as cool as that, unfortunately, yeah. But it's still kind of cool, like at least everyone knows Java. I was reading the other day with Docker, right, you've got, they say that like Linux containers were around for so long, but the reason why Docker went so well is because everyone knows Bash. So there was other competitors who were heavily reliant on Go, and they didn't really get a leg up because nobody would invest the time to use it. So lowest common denominator now for Bash scripts, I guess, which is kind of nice. There's a new HTTP client library in as well, and so it kind of lets you do a bit more. I guess I call it Node. Maybe it's giving too much credit to Node, but basically it's all synchronous and uses closures and stuff like that, so you can chain responses together and find the flow of things. So it's kind of nice. What else? They just updated the JDK with things that were really annoying. Like we found like certain use cases of using streams and using optionals, just where you had like a negative case that just like you'd like to have a if not else thing, and they basically added those in, so they now make a lot more sense. Talked about deprecation already, and that's where we're. Cool. Yeah, that's everything.